Hey, it's Matt Moscona. You found it. It's AFR LSU, your home for daily content on your favorite team, Fighting Tigers of LSU. And we're proud to be presented by BetUS, where this football season, get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use the promo code YouTube150. Now, enjoy the video. So the college football season is over, and now everyone turns the page to 2025. You're seeing all the way too early top 25 polls. You're seeing a lot of way too early Heisman projections. By the way, Nussmeier either tied with Arch Manning for the best odds or just behind Arch Manning with the second best odds. One of the reasons that I'm very high on LSU in 2025 is I think a lot of people will be. But there are a lot of sports books and odds makers that are putting out their projected win totals for 2025 already if you want to take an early stab at that. And I won't bury the lead here. You are not going to like what sportsbook.ag has for LSU's projected win total in 2025. They've got the Tigers pegged over under 8.5. 8.5. Basically, they're projecting LSU either to be 9-3 or 8-4. And I'm here to tell you, brother, if LSU in 2025 goes 9-3 or 8-4, anything less than 10-2, that will be an unmitigated, cataclysmic disaster. Because when you have a 4,000-yard passer returning, who, by the way, is the leading returning passer in the country, Garrett Nussmeier, you have a top 10 recruiting class coming in, the number one transfer portal class in the country, Jacoby and Guillory coming off of injury, Harold Perkins returning off of injury, and did I mention the number one transfer portal class in the country, which would rival what Ohio State did a year ago, what Ole Miss did a year ago, what Florida State did 2 years ago. You went, hey, we're going all in this year, brother. The same way we talked about Ohio State and Ole Miss, the all-in season, that's where LSU is. All that money, all in. We'll get right back to the video, but did you know that BetUS also has a casino? For all of our followers here, if you like slots, live casino dealers, you can take advantage of BetUS amazing sign-up bonuses. 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 or 250% for crypto sign-up bonus up to $5,000 as well. Discover the BetUS Casino Playground. Maybe you're a slots enthusiast. BetUS, they've got the games to raise your pulse. You can test your skills with timeless classics. You can also explore the newest, hottest slots and feel that casino buzz with BetUS live dealer tables. Y'all take advantage of this great special. Sign up now. Get 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 and 250% sign-up bonus up in crypto up to $5,000. So get ready for a rush with the BetUS Casino generous promotions and tournaments that make every play more rewarding. Sign up right now and experience the difference. Get your bonus. 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 and 250% crypto sign-up bonus also up to $5,000. Now, enjoy the rest of the video. I think you are objectively, you have better talent on the defensive side. Can we all agree to that? Like, I don't even know that there is a counter argument to this. I mean, you're getting Ashton Stamps back. You're getting Witt and West Weeks back. Jordan Gilbert will return. Deshaun Spears returns. You're getting Jacoby and Guillory off of injury. Guys like Ahmad Bro, Don McKinley for another year. Devon Keys a year older. A lot of those guys are back. And you went and added three of the best edge guys in the entire portal class, including the best edge guy in the class in Patrick Payton. You went and added Mansour Delane, who's a plug-and-play starter at corner or safety. TaMarcus Cooley, who's a plug-and-play starter at safety. I mean, you went ham in the transfer portal on the defensive side. Your talent is objectively better on the defensive side of the ball going into 2025 than you were in 24. And I think your coaching staff's pretty good. So if you got a good defensive coaching staff with Blake Baker and Bo Davis and Corey Raymond and Jake Olson and Kevin Peoples, you should be better. How much better, I don't know. But if your offense is going to be one of the top offenses in the country, which it should be, that defense should be able to play complementary football and get you to a minimum 10-2 to be in the playoff. So over under 8-5, I cannot imagine the scenario. Now I'm going to tell you how I think they got to that number in a second, but I can't imagine that unfolding, especially when I look at the rest of these numbers. Let's run through it. They got Georgia and Texas at 10.5. Two teams that played for the SEC championship, that both made the playoff. Tennessee made the playoff, 9.5. I have major reservations about Tennessee. You're losing the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. You're losing a lot of that defensive front seven, including James Pierce. And Nico didn't prove that he could actually beat you throwing the football this year. I have a lot of reservations about Tennessee. Anyway, and they got to go to Bama, like the schedule flips. So 9 wins, Ole Miss and Bama. I think that's both laughable. Bama, I think, was 9-3 this year. They lose 24 more players out of the portal. That's not even counting draft or guys out of eligibility. They're going to turn over half their roster again. They're still not a good coaching staff without Nick Saban there. I think top ceiling for Bama is 9-3 this year. Ceiling. And that ain't just Bama hate. I've been sitting here saying it since the day Nick Saban left, and y'all know I was right. Ole Miss, I think, has a giant step back this year, similar to what you saw at Florida State. I don't think they're going to be a 2-win football team, but Florida State was the example of going all in, and then what happens when all those guys are gone in 1 year. And they face-planted. 2 wins. I'm not telling you Ole Miss is going to be a 2-win team, but I think no Jackson Dart, no Trey Harris, Princely Umanmielen, Walter Nolan, all those guys that you brought in, they're all gone in one fell swoop. What are you? I don't know. I think they're pretty good at quarterback. I think. But I got super reservations about both those. A&M, you play them, 8 wins. Oklahoma, you play them, 7 wins. And this is the most interesting one. 2 of the most popular teams at the end of the season. Public darlings. Florida, South Carolina. Over under 6.5. You want to know why? South Carolina's not very good. Oh, they should have been in the playoffs. Nobody wanted to play them at the end of the season. I guess Illinois did. What people lost sight of with South Carolina is that while Lenore Seller is a really good athlete, like he can't complete a vertical pass. He cannot throw the ball vertically. And defensively, their defensive front seven was real good, but that is also a team that LSU put up 450 yards and scored 36 points or whatever it was. Like that was a great defensive front seven, not a great defense. I don't think South Carolina got pounded on their home field by Ole Miss. That's not a great South Carolina team. And neither is Florida. And then Auburn down at 5.5, which, my goodness, Hugh Freeze goes 6-6, 5-7 this year. Yellowwood maybe backing up the Brinks truck to 2x4 Hugh Freeze out of Auburn. But how do they get to LSU at 8.5, over under 8.5? So you got to find what you would find is 3 games on the schedule where LSU would be considered an underdog. Well, we already told you that if you look at the early, there's point spreads out for some of the early season marquee games. FanDuel put these out, and FanDuel had the LSU Clemson game as Clemson 2.5. So that's already one where LSU is presumably, as of now anyway, going to be an underdog. And as you look at the schedule, you go from Clemson to Louisiana Tech, home against Florida. So you play the Gators in Baton Rouge. Then you play Southeastern in Baton Rouge before you go to Ole Miss. You'll probably be there assuming an underdog at Ole Miss. Then you get an open date before you come home to play South Carolina. Again, remember, a South Carolina team that I just told you Vegas has their total at 6.5. That's a home game. You're going to be favored. Then you're at Vandy. You're home against A&M. You'll be favored both of those. Open date, then at Alabama. They got Bama with a win total of 9, over under 9. They're assuming you'll be an underdog at Bama. So Clemson, Ole Miss, Bama would be the 3. And then you say, all right, is there another one out there? Did they maybe miss on Florida or South Carolina? Arkansas, Western Kentucky come to Baton Rouge, and then you go to Norman. Could an end-of-the-season road trip to Oklahoma bite you the way it did Alabama this past year? That's kind of what the odds makers are looking at right now. But I'm here to tell you, I can understand LSU being a road underdog in that opener against Clemson. You've lost 5 openers in a row. It's on the road. A lot of the narratives about LSU we're going to be having about Clemson as well. A senior quarterback returning. You returned a ton off that team a year ago that finished the season in the playoff, at ACC champion, all that. It's a true road game. But then you're home against Tech. Then you're home against Florida. And you should win those games. Then you're home against Southeastern. So, sorry, Paulie, but you get an FCS opponent where you can rest guys if you gotta before you go to Ole Miss. And that's going to be the pendulum swinging game. Because you beat Ole Miss and you come home, you're favored against South Carolina. Then you go to Nashville against Vanderbilt, which is a game you should still win. And then you're home against A&M, which, again, in Baton Rouge, game you should win before your open date and you play Bama. And what is Bama going to be by the time you get there on November the 8th? Y'all know how I feel about it. And then it's Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and Oklahoma, so you get a breather, a layup with Western Kentucky before you got to go to Norman. Not just who you play, but when and where you play them. I understand LSU being an underdog on the road at Clemson. I think when it's all said and done, LSU will end up being favored in every other game the rest of the season. Because I believe what they did this year, this offseason, and who they're returning and who they're bringing in is going to make them on paper better than every team they play, probably even Clemson. Now, are you able to go do it? We'll see. Ole Miss is a better team on paper this year than Kentucky. They lost in their home field. Ole Miss controlled the game in Baton Rouge and gagged away an opportunity to win. Oh, let me say this. They left the door open for Garrett Nussmeier to make some incredible plays, like the 4th down touchdown to Aaron Anderson, right? You get a turnover deep in LSU's territory. Instead of kicking a field goal, they go for it on 4th and get stuffed. Like Lane Kiffin pissed away that game. Did the same thing in Florida. 3 possessions inside the 20, went for it 3 times on 4th down, came away with no points. You kick 3 field goals, you win that game. I mean, that's an Ole Miss team that should have been undefeated this year. Should have been. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. You got to go play the games. So I do think, on paper, LSU is going to be better than and favored than over every team they play as you get to the week of the game, other than the opener against Clemson. How do they fare? Better be better than 8.5. Otherwise, there's going to be riots in here. Because if LSU falls short of the playoff in 2025, then I will be singing, I'm telling you right now, clip it, mark it, everybody talk about it, write it down, save it on your phones forever, tweet it at me. If LSU finishes with less than 10 regular season wins and out of the playoff in 2025, then I will dramatically change my tune about Brian Kelly and what his ceiling in Baton Rouge is. Because if he can't make a playoff with this team, then you have a real conversation about if it is possible for him to do it here. Because when else are you going to have a 5th-year senior, 4,000-yard passer, the most expensive roster potentially in the country for next year, the guys returning defensively, the guys brought in, your coaching staff aligned. I mean, it's finally got it to where he wants it. You better go deliver. Better be a hell of a lot better than 8.5. Thanks so much for watching the video. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the bell so you're notified when we post a new video, and remember to support BetUS, where right now you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use that promo code YouTube150.